How y'all doing? It's Jocelyn Toller. I made a remarkable discovery about myself yesterday. I am one of the things that I really couldn't stand on divorce court, which is I am an error hoarder. And an error hoarder is a person who sees all the. What are you eating? No, don't eat that. He was sick. He had diarrhea yesterday all over the house. It started like 4 o'clock in the morning. I got so freaked out. I called the vet. You know, they have those emergency vets. Cause it's Dasher. I called them up and then like, and I took pictures of all of it and sent it to him. And he said, "Lady, just take him to your regular vet. If he ate something that disagreed with him, don't panic." But it was Decker, so I chose to panic. But anyway, no. I'm trying to tell a story. But anyway, an error hoarder is a person who collects all the mistakes somebody else makes and never forgives them for it and never allows the good things those persons did for them to balance it out. It's like you have a bucket of water and all the sins go in. Now, and there should be a drain of forgiveness that is opened up with positivity and the good things that they've done and the and their humanity and the fact that you've made mistakes too. That's why you shouldn't hang on to all those errors because people will make mistakes, and if they take responsibility for them, don't hang on to them. Anyway, I'm trying to say something important. Anyway, I had people on divorce court where I remember one of them was Mr. Berger, and he had two wives. He had one wife that was an ex-wife, and one wife was a current wife. And the ex-wife co-signed on the current wife. He says, if you don't agree with him totally, he just totally doesn't deal with it. He just can't have it. He can't deal with it. He's right, you're wrong. That is the end of it. And he never forgave you for anything. And and I told him, I said, Mr. Berg, you need to be a better person. He said, let me tell you right now, I am a great person. I said, you need to be a better person. And he says, but I'm a great person. Here, go. Now just go. And I said, how great could you be if the women that you're with feel like nothing when they're with you? And I remember, and that so and but air hoarders are people who always, excuse me, wait a minute. Oh, it didn't work. But anyway, an error hoarder. So, and it's just he or she collects all the errors that their spouse makes, and then they never forgive them for anything. So, like you could be all the way at mistake R, and they'll bring up mistake A, B, C, D, E, F, G every time. And I grew up in a household where you took responsibility for everything you did, and if you only had 1% responsibility for a problem, you didn't point at the other 99. You took responsibility of that 1%. And when I got married, I carried that attitude into the marriage, and it kind of made our marriage lopsided for a little while because I kept saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And that led my husband to believe that I was wrong, I was wrong, I was wrong, I was wrong, I was wrong all the time. When I was sorry for 2%, when he might have been 98%. Now, I'm not saying that I'm always 2%, he was 98% wrong, but that's how he took it because he was raised in a family that was pathological, personally responsible for the crap that you did. Like my father was never late, and then I was pathologically punctual on the bench. I, you know, I used to walk. Before you get on the bench, like I'd have a 9 o'clock docket, and my bailiff Bill Usel, because I'd be walking behind uh, the scenes in my chambers waiting for 9 o'clock. Because 9 o'clock came, I was going to open that door and get on the bench. And he'd be like, Judge, you gotta let people who just got here at 9 o'clock to get to the, you gotta give them 10 minutes grace, you know. So pathologically punctual. One more story, and then I'll get back to the air horror. I probably will. But it was this when I was working at divorce court when I first got the job. You know, they have you in a hotel and then they send a car for you to pick you up and take you to work. And it was like 6 o'clock in the morning. So I get up and they said the car would be there at 6. So I got down there at 5:55 and the car was already there. So I got in the car and went. Next day I said, well, he had to wait on me 5 minutes and we don't do that at my house. So I got down there at what 5:45. I'm just making these times up. I don't really remember. And I waited for him. And he got there. He pulled up 5, 10 minutes earlier than he usually did, but I was already there. So the next morning at 5:45 when I went down, I thought, oh, that's the appropriate time because he ought not wait for me. And I went down there and he was already waiting. So the next morning I decided to get up earlier. And then my executive producer walked into my thingy, my dressing room, and said, Lynn, the driver called and he keeps saying you keep every time he comes you keep getting up earlier. And I said, well, yeah, I don't want him to wait on me. He says, but you're making his job hard for him. It's part of his job to wait on you. So if you're waiting on him, he registers that as a failure. You know, his job is to make sure you don't wait on him. He and I have been friends ever since. I got in the car, started laughing. I said, you had to tell somebody to stop me from. We laughed so hard. And I said, you could have told me. And he says, well, you know, he didn't know me. I was this and that. But pathologically punctual. I just don't think people should wait on me. But anyway, because that's the kind of, that's how I was raised. And there's nothing wrong with it either. Before y'all start blaming my parents, I did all right. My sister did all right. You know, part of that is, you know, you got to struggle a little bit. They made so much other stuff easy for us. But anyway, my husband became a bit of an error hoarder. And I couldn't figure it out until I was washing it on the bench. And I coined the term error hoarder. And I saw it. It's, you know, it's a thing where, you know, I would often see, and this is one often women would tell me about. And women can be error hoarders too. I knew this one lady just... anything he did, she'd pick it out of the air over here. This means this, and it was all in some kind of thing. But it's like you're carrying 1,000 grains of rice, and you drop one on your way over a mountain, and that's the only thing the person on the other side can talk about, not the 999 pieces of rice that got over there, but just the one that you dropped. That's a feature of an error hoarder. And when I saw what was happening on the bench reflected in my own crib, we reordered the crib. And he reordered it with me because he wanted to be happy too. And neither one of us were happy because when you guys are standing in a bucket of errors, you both drown. Nobody survives. Because the marriage, you're filling your marriage bucket with water and you're never letting any errors drain out. So you both drown in it. Or at least the marriage drowns. So, I was talking to myself the other day. Or talking to a girlfriend the other day. Well, actually, I was both talking to myself and talking to a girlfriend. I talk to myself all the time. But when my husband was around, when I made a stupid error, I would say, you simple B to myself. Oh, you simple. And I thought it was funny. And he said, I wish you wouldn't do that. And I said, what? He said, call yourself a simple B. And I said, well, why do you care? And he says, because I do. Because you're not one. And I thought it was silly for him. Now, if he was saying it, I had to have something to say. But I thought it was silly because I was like, just a funny thing I used to say when I made mistakes. But then I was talking to a girlfriend the other day who said, you know, don't you ever give yourself a break? And I said, what you mean? And then she just started regaling me with all of the sins that I had relayed to her that I had committed in the last week with no sense of anybody else being involved. Everything you do wrong, you think the world's going to end. And I thought, it's like, you know what? You can be your own error hoarder. I was hoarding my errors, and I was unhappy with myself. So I have to stop. And the question you got to ask yourself, are you hoarding errors? Is somebody hoarding errors on you? Or worse yet, are you hoarding somebody else's errors? It's easy to get stuck on criticism, but constant criticism throws a shadow on a marriage that makes it wither. You just can't live in that. It's like constantly criticizing either yourself or your spouse is like having a Ferrari and you go and it don't work and you go out there and you kick it. The Ferrari doesn't start working because you kick it. You just damage a really wonderful auto. Well, I don't know if it's really wonderful. I never driven one before, and I hear, sometimes it's a little, you know, hot, tough to run. I don't know anything about cars, but you understand. Don't kick your Ferrari because it doesn't work. Find out what the problem is and fix it. And that's the message that I have to say to myself. I have to kick. I ain't a Ferrari. I think I'm more of a Volvo, you know. One day I drive a Volvo, but also I'm into safety. Ain't nothing flashy about it, Don't like the interface too much. Takes too long for the radio to come on, but don't go out and kick your Volvo either. Y'all have a great afternoon. I'm gonna do better. Quit kicking my own car.